And did you ever watch the debate afterwards?
I don't think I did, no.
Well, what I want to get at is, what were you experiencing as you were going through the debate? Did you know how badly it was going?
Yeah, look, the whole way I prepared, nobody's fault, mine. Nobody's fault but mine. I prepared what I usually would do, sitting down, as I did come back with foreign leaders or the National Security Council, for explicit detail. And I realized about partway through that, you know, I get quoted, the New York Times had me down at 10 points before the debate, 9 now, or whatever the hell it is. The fact of the matter is that what I looked at is that he also lied 28 times. I mean, the way the debate ran, not my fault, no one else's fault. No one else's fault.
But it seemed like you were having trouble from the first question in, even before he spoke.
Elderly abuse. Who is running the country? And the interview failed. It backfired. There's nothing can change anything, y'all. Everybody sees this for what it is. And we become a complete laughing stock. And every single day, the president is going viral for the wrong reasons, you guys. Elderly abuse, man. You know, people around the world are struggling. Struggling, man. Look what's going on. People are scared to go outside. Making life decisions inside of a grocery store. Got to go to 15, 20 different gas stations looking through that app. Border wide open. Come on in, why don't you? Oh, we don't care. We don't need we don't care. Just come on in. Crime is through the roof. Criminals are smiling. Yeah, what did you do? Oh, go do it again. You're free to go. Businesses are shutting down. I can go, man. Millions and millions and millions of people are dropping like flies, man. Chasing the American dream, y'all. Chasing the American dream. It's real, man. You know? Suicide rates, depression, anxiety, PTSD is at an all-time high. Sad, man. America isn't America anymore, as you can see. America isn't America anymore, you guys. Who is running the country? You know? Families are suffering now, man. This isn't America anymore, y'all. But let's go and get into this video of this interview. And I'm going to check out my brother's video. Make sure y'all go check him out down below. Link will be in the description box down below. And I'm wishing the best in all you guys' life. I can literally go down the line of everything that's going on right now. All the problems and issues, the policies in place, and just everything that's happening in America. And everything that's affecting us. And this video might just be a couple hours long if I went on that huge rant, you know. But it's sad, man, what's going on, y'all. And it's time for a change. And a lot of y'all should be, everybody should be fired up to go to the voting booth. Fired up, man, come November. It should be a landslide come November, y'all. An ultra landslide. And if he drops out and all you have is Kamala left, an ultra landslide. Extra ultra. Throw some baby oil on the slide and we just slide down the slide even more. Let's jump straight in, y'all. Elderly abuse, man.
Well, guess what? They're trying to push me out of the race. No! Well, let me say this as clearly as I can. I'm staying in the race. I'll beat Donald Trump. I will beat him again in 2020.
It's 2024. 2020? It's 2024, Joe.
Elections are about the future, not the past. They're about tomorrow, not yesterday. And the question on so many people's minds right now is, can you serve effectively for the next 4 years?
George, I'm the guy that put NATO together, the future. No one thought I could expand it. I'm the guy that shut Putin down. No one thought could happen. I'm the guy that put together the South Pacific Initiative with AUKUS. I'm the guy that got 50 nations, out, not only in Europe, outside of Europe as well, to help Ukraine.
No, you're the guy is why a lot of people are struggling right now, Joe.
I'm the guy that got Japanese to expand their budget. So, I mean, and for example, when I decided we used to have 40% of the computer chip, and we invented the chip, that little chip for the computer chip.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about Joe Biden's highly anticipated interview with Democrat Party propagandist George Stephanopoulos in response to the pressure that his campaign and administration is feeling to drop out, okay, to resign, okay? You already have Democrats essentially coming out and saying, hey, we're about to go to Kamala if Joe does not step down, okay? And Joe Biden is desperately trying to save his campaign and to convince the American public that, hey, I am cognitively fit enough to be president of the United States. Okay, this is why he's doing this interview with George Stephanopoulos. The guy also has done some interviews and rallies and things like that. But to me personally, from what I'm seeing, Joe is not really helping himself because he seems to continue to have senior moments despite trying his best not to. Like, for example, when he announced that he was going to continue to run, he's not dropping out. He says that he's going to beat Trump again in 2020, right? Now, I'm not sure if Joe is aware that it's not 2020, it's actually 2024, but who knows? Maybe that was just some casual mistake that Joe made. I get it. Everybody misspeak.
No, everybody's laughing. Everybody is laughing. We are a laughing stock. Everybody is laughing at us. Who is running the country? It's just been a complete circus. It's a show, y'all. And then what makes it even worse, they've wiped Donald just through the mud. Wiped Donald through the mud. Then a convicted felon? You come after the man because you can't beat him fair and square? You can't make this stuff up, y'all. And everybody's seeing the corruption, the election interference. And like I said, my favorite thing from that debate was when Trump said, I wouldn't have to be here if there wasn't such a terrible job done. If there wasn't such a terrible job done, I wouldn't have to be here. I could be somewhere nice, rubbing my hands through Melania's scalp, giving her a back massage or something. Wouldn't have to be here if there wasn't such a terrible job done, Joe. Now, we can't even worry about the serious problems because we're worried about the president and his health. You know, this is what we've come to, you guys. Every single day, the president is going viral for the wrong reasons. When is everybody going to wake up? This shouldn't be happening right now, man. Shame on the loved ones, on the family. Jill, hands behind your back. Anyways, let me stop talking now. I know this video could be an hour long if I just went on and on.
But again, he just has awkward moments, man, where I'm just like, I just gotta wonder what's going on upstairs. Like, for example, the moment where he basically said that he's going to come in the back room, which is something that, I don't know, Kamala Harris would probably disagree with.
I'm gonna come in the overflow room.
Do not come. Do not come.
Yeah, so again, Biden said this at his rally, at the end of the rally, when he was walking off stage, talking about how he's going to beat Trump and how Trump is such a big threat and all this stuff. And he just randomly turns around and just says that, hey, I'm going to come in the overflow room. Again, I'm not entirely sure what Joe Biden was thinking or what he meant. Okay, there's no context there for me to show you guys to make it make sense. It just doesn't make sense, okay? So it is what it is. I think Biden is going to continue to have these moments no matter what. And they're now under a microscope because the mainstream liberal media is actually doing their jobs and they're covering what is the biggest story in this country right now extremely closely. And
I'll tell you two things that are happening right now. Everybody's either just trying to make it through this life, especially in America, but they're also getting a good laugh while they're at it. Everybody's laughing, man. And it's to be honest with you, you know, it's really not funny. But you know, you'd rather be laughing than crying, huh?
It's just going to get worse, right? It's going to get worse, okay? And I don't think this interview with George Stephanopoulos has really helped Biden too much because in this interview with George Stephanopoulos, Biden, while answering the question of what happened during that debate, he continues to make excuses, like, for example, saying that, well, he had a cold, right? And also, apparently, he didn't remember whether or not he rewatched the debate to see how bad he actually was.
You and your team have said you had a bad night. But your friend Nancy Pelosi actually framed the question that I think is on the minds of millions of Americans. Was this a bad episode or the sign of a more serious condition?
It was a bad episode. No indication of any serious condition. I was exhausted. I didn't listen to my instincts.
You had a week, Joe. You had a good night's sleep, good meals. You know, and they even gave you those gas station dick pills mixed with that Gatorade and Red Bull. Pre-prep. They gave you the questions to pre-study. They gave you a shot in your right cheek of that B12. A week, Joe. They gave you a week. I know people that work 100 hours a week. And they're like 70, 80 years old, and they would love that week, Joe. They would have took advantage of that week and came through that debate fully energized and ready. But jet lag, your travel schedule, a cold. What? The American people are fed up, man. We're sick of this. We're worried. We're terrified.
In terms of preparing, and a bad night.
You know, you say you were exhausted, and I know you've said that before as well, but you came, and you did have a tough month, but you came home from Europe about 11 or 12 days before the debate, spent 6 days in Camp David. Why wasn't that enough rest time, enough recovery time?
Because I was sick. I was feeling terrible. Matter of fact, the docs with me, I asked if they did a COVID test because they were trying to figure out what was wrong. They did a test to see whether or not I had some infection. You know,
we're sick of the excuses, man. We're sick of them. And then you wanted this debate on your rules. What did he say, Trump? I heard you're free on Wednesdays or Thursdays, whatever he said in that edited clip. Now that clip was edited. That was edited right there. Had like 15 cuts in it. But what happened on Thursday? The American people was not surprised. And the ones that were surprised was the left, the Dems. The ones that don't want to accept what's going on. But they have to accept it now. All the mumbling, stumbling, falling down. Yeah. It's serious now. And now everybody wants you to drop out. But most of us, we wasn't surprised what took place on Thursday. We've known this for what, a years now? The clips, it just kept adding up. More things just kept happening, and we knew. And now it's just getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. Elderly abuse.
Virus. I didn't. I just had a really bad cold.
And did you ever watch the debate afterwards?
I don't think I did, no.
Well, what I want to get at is, what were you experiencing as you were going through the debate? Did you know how badly it was going?
Yeah, look. The whole way I prepared, nobody's fault, mine. Nobody's fault but mine. I prepared what I usually would do, sitting down, as I did come back with foreign leaders or the National Security Council, for explicit detail. And I realized about partway through that, you know, I get quoted, the New York Times had me down at 10 points before the debate, 9 now, or whatever the hell it is. The fact of the matter is that what I looked at is that he also lied 28 times. I couldn't.
He lied.
I mean, the way that
he lied 28 times. Trump lied, y'all. Trump lied. Okay.
the debate ran, not my fault, nobody else's fault. No one else's fault.
But it seemed like you were having trouble from the first question in, even before he spoke.
Well, I just had a bad night. 16 Nobel laureates, 16 of them in economics, saying that Biden's next term would be, based on what he wants to do, enormous success. Trump's plan would cause a recession, would significantly increase inflation. I made great progress, and that's what I plan on doing, and we can do this.
I understand that, and I'm not disputing that. What I'm asking you is about your personal situation. Do you dispute that there have been more lapses, especially in the last several months?
Can I run the 110 flat? No, but I'm still in good shape.
Are you more frail?
No.
I know you spoke.
Keep my schedule.
I know you spoke with your doctor after the debate. What did he say?
He said, he just looked at me and said, "You're exhausted." I said, "Look, I have medical doctors travel me everywhere, every president does, as you know. Medical doctors, some of the best in the world, travel me everywhere I go. I have an ongoing assessment of what I'm doing. And they don't hesitate to tell me if they think there's something wrong."
I know you said you have an ongoing assessment. Have you had a full neurological and cognitive evaluation?
I get a full neurological test every day with me. And I've had a full physical. I had, I've been at Walter Reed for my physicals. Yes.
Yeah, so I don't know about you guys, right? But I'm not sure if the strategy of getting Joe Biden to do more interviews and public appearances is going to work, because he just looks bad, right? He just looks terrible, okay? Even when Joe Biden is listening to the interviewer ask questions, he just doesn't look good. He looks lost. He looks decrepit. He looks like he's 1 foot in the grave, man. I'm sorry. Again, he looks like he belongs in a nursing home. He looks like he needs a caretaker, okay? I'm just saying. He just don't look good, okay? Even when he's not doing anything, he has a permanent old man face, okay? He has a permanent I'm losing my mind face, and you can't get rid of that, right? You can't change that. You just can't do it, okay? So again, apparently Joe Biden, once again, is saying that he had a cold, which is the White House talking points. At first, it was his advisor's fault, right? They didn't prepare him properly. Then it was, a cold, right? It was a cold, and it was jet lag. Now we're back to the cold thing, okay? So it seems as if they're trying to throw anything at a wall and see what sticks in regards to making excuses for Joe Biden, okay? And I just don't think it's going to work. In fact, I think that it's going to get worse the more that they try to make excuses, the more that they talk, okay? The more they talk about trying to fix a situation that's not fixable because you can't fix it, okay? Like, for example, them saying that, well, Biden only works from like, what, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. and he has to essentially call it a night, okay? He's done because he can't pay attention, right? They're saying, well, Biden's going to go to bed before 8 p.m. Well, you're essentially saying that the president can't stay up past 8 p.m. He's not useful past a certain time. That's not a good thing, right? That's not a winning strategy. I'm not sure exactly who is advising these people from a PR perspective, but they're doing a terrible job. They're just making it worse, okay? And it's so bad now that you have Democrats who are sitting congressmen coming out here and essentially calling for Biden to step down, to give it up, because this interview is not helping them out, and that at this point, it's best for the Democrat Party to move on.
But you didn't answer the question. Do you agree with Raul Grijalva, Lloyd Doggett, and Seth Moulton? The president should step aside.
I had a hard time processing getting to that point with him, as I think anybody would who respects him so much. I would say, Mr. President, your legacy is set. We owe you the greatest debt of gratitude. The only thing that you can do now to cement that for all time and prevent utter catastrophe is to step down and let someone else do this. Because I think day one, we're back in a dogfight. All of a sudden, all the things we're talking about with President Biden, we've got a lot more we can talk about with Trump. Not just that he lied 28 times during the debate and that he's an absolute monster, but he has cognitive issues, something that Speaker Emeritus Pelosi brought up earlier this week. She's absolutely right.
Drunk, scotch, tequila, cognac. You could smell the alcohol all over the set. Soon she started speaking. Hands behind her back. We caught her live. Shout out to her daughter.
You're right. So one of the arguments that other folks have made, and again, I think I've been pretty honest about this. You're talking about working your way through this.
When we were trying to win in 2020, it was like, oh, we're going to be torn apart. I think people came together and made a very collectively pragmatic decision in those primaries. They were going to be with Joe Biden because he had the best chance to beat Trump. They were right. They did it, and it worked. So that was chaotic. That was difficult. We didn't think we were going to get there. We're in a situation, ironically, it involves Joe Biden, the opposite scenario, where he can't be the person who's at the top of the ticket. So, look, I don't think there's anything wrong with having people intensely disagree with how we get to that point. But I think for the same reasons they came together 4 years ago, they will come together this time behind one candidate. And I think people underrate the bench. I think we have a lot of people who are great. I have the greatest respect for the vice president. So I think we can get beyond all that stuff. But clearly the alternative now is a very bleak scenario with, I would say, almost no help of succeeding. And it doesn't just affect the White House. It affects all of Congress and our future.
Yeah, so you see, they heard that. That is Representative Mike Quigley from Illinois, essentially calling for Joe Biden to step down. And he is doing what other Democrats have done, which is to sing Kamala's praises. As if Democrats are all kind of going in on Kamala now in their revolt against Joe Biden. So who knows? Maybe Joe Biden will step down. Maybe it will be Kamala because it's not just Democrats, but also donors as well, too, are coming together and saying, hey, we're not going to support the Democrats. We're not going to donate to Joe Biden's campaign if he doesn't step down.
Of the election, a growing number of Democratic donors says they'll withhold support for the party until President Biden drops out of the race. Megan Casella is here with the names and numbers to know ahead of the president's high-stakes national TV interview tonight. Megan.
Kelly, it's still a small group, but it's a growing one of Democratic donors who are now publicly calling on Biden to step aside. Netflix co-founder Reed Hastings was one of the first to come out and say Biden needs to resign. Abigail Disney joined in yesterday. The screenwriter Damon Lindelof is calling for a Dembargo, no checks for any Democrats until Biden is gone. And Whitney Tilson is warning that Biden will lose to Trump, possibly, he says, in a landslide. I also want to add that just before I came out here, the New York Times is reporting that a coalition of 168 business leaders including Christy Walton, the Walmart heir, are calling on Biden to step aside as well. So it's just drip, 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 and we're seeing this grow. These are the folks who are speaking publicly, but behind closed doors, I'm hearing donors who are worried, frustrated, they're a little bit angry. The feeling is sort of, how did we get here and how did we get past this? It's not a unanimous call, though, for Biden's resignation. Reid Hoffman of LinkedIn and his donor advisor, Dimitri Melhorn, have been leading the charge in support of Biden. Melhorn laid out an 8-point argument last night for his network on why Biden is the only one who can beat Trump. The Biden campaign is also pushing to retake the narrative today. They're launching a $50 million ad buy for July, planning campaign travel to every swing state this month. And in a clear reaction to the events of the past week, they're pledging to make Biden available for more interviews.
Yeah, so you know it's bad when Democrat donors are coming out and saying, hey, we don't want to give Joe Biden money anymore. Although Joe Biden has openly stated in his career that he is for sale, okay? He can be bought and sold like a prostitute, okay? And donors are saying, hey, we don't even want you to be our prostitute anymore, which is very bad, right? That's a really bad sign if you have these donors saying we're not going to financially support you unless you drop out, okay? Which to me seems to be a growing movement within the Democrat Party, to the point where I'm not entirely sure if Joe Biden is going to be able to withstand the amount of pressure that he is getting. Because what is happening now is that there is a laser focus on everything that Joe Biden says. Okay, so he can't hide. And if he tries to hide, the mainstream media is going to talk about why is Joe Biden hiding. And what Democrats want to do is that they want to get back to business as usual. Business as usual is talking about Trump. Well, orange man evil, orange man bad, right? But they can't do orange man bad right now with Joe Biden, because everybody's looking at Joe Biden and saying, well, the country's in bad shape right now, and the president physically is in bad shape. Yeah, we actually should be talking about this instead of orange man, right? So essentially, the Democrats are saying, look, Joe Biden being on the ticket, at the top of the ticket, again, not only hurts everybody else down ballot, but it also is a distraction from talking about Trump. You can't talk about Trump when you got Joe Biden in the White House, okay? And the disaster that his administration has been. So again, it's a very, very, very tough situation. And I think the toughest thing that Joe Biden is facing is the legacy decision. Because if he stays in the race, he refuses to drop out, then the mainstream liberal media and the liberal historians will say that Joe Biden was the worst president ever. Okay, not just because of his economy or all the real reasons why he would be the worst president ever. Okay, or he is one of the worst presidents in American history. Oh, it's because he allowed Trump to win. Right? This is what they'll say. They will tarnish Joe Biden's legacy if he refuses to drop out. But if he does drop out and a Democrat takes over and a Democrat wins, then they'll say Joe Biden was one of the greatest presidents in history, right? Because he saved the world from Trump. He made a selfless sacrifice to drop out and to allow another Democrat to beat Trump, right? Even though I don't think that another Democrat would be able to beat Trump, I'm just saying that's part of the decision making that Joe Biden has to go through in order to decide whether or not he wants to stay in the race, okay? Because again, if he refuses to drop out and he stays in and he loses to Trump, they will say he was one of the worst presidents in history, right? This is what they'll say. I'm certain about that. So, you know, again, I don't think this interview really helped out Joe Biden much. I don't think there's anything he can really do at this point. I think it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. I'm just curious to see how long Joe Biden stays in because, again, up until this point, he's saying that he's going to stay in. He's not dropping out, but we'll see, right? I personally believe that unless there's some medical emergency, right, to excuse Joe Biden dropping out in a way that's more graceful, okay, than what's happening right now, he'll probably stay in. But then again, don't discount the possibility of the medical emergency that essentially forces Biden out of the race and out of the White House. Who knows at this point? Anything is possible.
Anything is
because
possible.
The Democrats seem to be relentless in their efforts to get Joe Biden up out of office. So, hey, let me know.
Anything is possible, you guys. I told y'all, these next 3 months, anything could hit the air. Anything could hit the fan. Anything. But we're gonna roll the clip of what some top people think about this interview, and how they believe it didn't help as well. And yeah, it might be time for that fella to just call it the quits, man. Go to a different course, man. The American people are worried, y'all. terrified. Who's running the country? Jill, hands behind your back. Check these clips out.
Well, the question is, did he change the minds of voters who were watching that? I don't really think so. You know, Jim, I think the thing, and some of it I found sad, but he seems not to be able to compute the fact that people have these questions about him. He said, when George Stephanopoulos asked him if he'd be willing to take a cognitive test, he said, I take a cognitive test every day. Well, the fact is that may be true, but 75% of the American people think he failed. That he fails. I mean, they've lost. And so this is a real problem for him, and it's something that shows up in every poll. And in terms of where he stands in the race, no politician out there has the same perception that the president does, that this is a tied race and he's right in the hunt right now. He was 10 points ahead 4 years ago. He's 6 points behind now, worse in most of the battleground states, and now in danger of losing states that weren't thought to be in contention. So what you see, Jim, you saw it in Wisconsin today. Tammy Baldwin, the senator from Wisconsin, wasn't at this event. Why? Because she's up for re-election.
Here's Jonathan Karl right after the interview. George Stephanopoulos asked him what he thought.
But there was nothing in this interview that is calming nerves of jittery Democrats who fear that Joe Biden is on a trajectory to lose this race, to lose to Donald Trump. In fact, for some of those people, the interview is raising new concerns, particularly the fact that he is unwilling or unaware of the fact that he is in a dire situation here regarding the campaign, that he is losing in the view of many Democrats. And frankly, in the polls you cited, that he is losing to Donald Trump.
Martha Raddatz, the president is talking to a lot of people, but he appears to be listening to a very tight circle.
A very tight circle, and administration officials I have spoken to said that very tight inner circle is telling them he can win, that he needs to keep going. This, of course, includes his wife, Jill, who they said...
Hands behind your back. Elderly abuse. Hands behind your back, Jill. Shame on you.
Is lashing out at those who want him to get out of the race.